here for your Sydney Swans. Cheer the red and the white, honour the name by day and by night.
Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods, a fan podcast of the Sydney Swans Football Club.
So to all you loyal Swans out there, you just can't get enough of the red and the white.
Fluff up your tail feathers and settle in for a potentially biased yarn about all things to do with our beloved Bloods.
While our loyal Swans are marching onwards to victory.
G'day there, Cygnets and Swanlings. Welcome back to A Bevy of Bloods. You're joined as always by the boys from Sydney. I'm Chris, and this week we've got ourselves Noddy back. Welcome back, mate.
Thanks, mate. That's right, you lucky, loyal Swans fans. In this episode, we're going to be talking about our solid win over the Giants in the West, the Wet West. And remember, if you like what you hear, give us a follow. All right, let's kick things off with a quick game recap.
Right, last Saturday, in front of over 19,000 fans at NG Stadium, right next to Powell Creek, we'll talk about in a moment, our Sydney Swans defeated the GWS Giants by 27 points with a final score of 15-12, 102 to 11-9, 75. Right, Noddy, straight to you. You mentioned it was wet. What was going down at the Kapow?
The Powell's Creek Kapow, it's over. This is the creek that we're fighting over. That is the boundary between Sydney and Western Sydney, and it's a source of immense pride. I mean, look, what was it? It was Derby 28, was it?
420 or something, yeah. I think.
28, 420, look out. It was wet. It was a rainy old day in Sydney, I'll tell you what. And I had plans to go, grand plans, but I had a family commitment that I was actually trying to, I guess, in hindsight, trying to get out of, but made the I think, wise decision to be available for it. Look, it was my son's birthday, so I was like, should I? But anyway, common sense prevailed, and I stayed at home. And
he's only a couple years old. Would he have known?
Won't even remember it. But anyway,
okay.
So I stayed at home. And then, a few of the rest of the group went to the footy and I think had a good night. I mean, we laugh at a crowd anything under 35,000 these days, don't we? Mm. So, 19,000, probably mostly red and white there. Obviously, NG Stadium. I think you guys were talking about that at the end of the potty last time, or so. The stadium changes its name way too often. It's quite confusing. NG Stadium is a French energy company.
Right.
And they've got a bit of a local presence growing in Australia with all the renewable projects happening. And actually a mate of mine, funnily enough, called me, said he was going to the footy and he was going to the main corporate suite because he, I don't know, I think he might have something to do with them. But
is that like a picnic table with like a barbecue chicken or something for GWS? I'm not sure how it comes together there.
I don't know, but is there a bit of French influence there? So a bit of like...
camembert with the barbecue chicken.
On the barbecue chook. So yes. It's a camembert stuffed barbecue chook, basically.
Yeah.
Listen, sounds delicious actually.
It does actually sound really good, yeah.
I'll take one. But anyway, what a win. 13th win. Let's go back to that, mate. The year is just, it's rolling on. We're finding ways to win. We won a first quarter.
So my grey hairs have significantly increased this year. Now, granted, it could be from age. I understand DNA kicks in there, whatever. Nonetheless, I'm putting most of it to these first quarter blowouts that we've been having to suffer. And this time around, I was at the pub going, all right, brilliant. Like, I don't have to stress about it. I actually was very calm knowing that the boys continually kick up the gears as the game goes on. And that's exactly what happened. And as you said there, mate, 13th win, that's the core number, right? We're always talking about that number. We've still got plenty of games ahead of us. What a season we've had, and we only look like to be improving in some aspects of it.
Well, I think that's a good point, mate. I mean, was it 10 in a row now? And I don't know, I'm just trying to remember all the little records we've broken this year. It's the best streak since 1918, or best start, or we're going back to the record books, right? It's crazy, and I just love Horse. After every presser, he's being thrown these records. He's like, yeah, we take it 1 week at a time. We're just going to look at what we can improve on. And yes, our midfield is elite. Oh, just kidding. No, they've got a lot of homework to do. But I don't know, mate. It's
that was actually a pretty good good version of Hawes, actually. Yep.
Contested footy. I mean, it was wet, right? So it was raining pretty much all day in Sydney, and it actually is one of those days where you just kind of dread about thinking about going to the footy, just because if you're not undercover, you're gonna get drenched. But it was about the contest, wasn't it? And I think we did that bloody well. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of players that you and Sam over the past month and a bit have been talking about every week. But we got it done again, and against a team that is stacked with talent. And but I will acknowledge that they're young at the moment as well. They're putting some youngsters through. I think they were the second or third youngest, Kingsley was saying. So good on them for I guess bleeding some of their players. But we'll talk about the debutants as well. But I don't know, mate. It's kind of like it's a weird feeling. I mean, we're used to being successful, but we kind of, the Swans usually make us work for it. But this year has just kind of been one of those years where it's like, it's clicking, it's smooth. Even when we're up against it, we find a way through. And I think we did that in this game, didn't we? Because they pushed us at the end. I was like, man, they might run away with this here, but. We kicked those last 2 goals and found a way and just iced it.
Yeah, I really feel like we took the foot off the pedal in that last quarter. To me, it really looked like, what, guys, it's wet. You know what? Don't pull anything. Don't make yourself too tired. Just let this one run out. Like, we've got our percentage is still close to 150. We are still absolutely killing this percentage.
Yeah.
So I was not one of those people this week being like, all right, go hard. I was doing exactly. I was like, pump the brakes, guys, slow it up, like soak up that 24-point margin or whatever. And it ended up being 27 or something. I literally said it seconds ago. I forgot. There you go, 27.
Yeah.
And I was good with all that. And I think all in all, it ended up being a crack of a game. But we got off to such a hot start. And so, like, Rowbottom, can we have a moment to just talk about how good Rowie was?
Yeah.
22 disposals, 9 score involvement, 9 clearances in the first half.
Yeah.
Dominant piece. And another version of if you try to shut down someone like Warner, like we'll talk about in a moment, you get Rowbottom just absolutely crushing you with the ball, whereas typically the contested guy, like everyone in this team consistently picks up. And I'm loving to see it. I love seeing everything about it.
So it was Browie's probably best game in terms of numbers, right?
I'd say so. Yep, I'd say so for sure. His tackle numbers weren't even that high. They weren't. I think he had 6 like a very mortal 6. But nonetheless, the man was incredible. And he also managed to do everything that he normally does. But right in the face of Tom Green, who was an absolute beast again this week.
Yeah.
So you can't ask much more. One thing I will point out though, I don't know. I know you like it when I flag it because I don't know why I pay attention so much. But he's stepped away from shaving the legs too often, mate. We've got another one on our hands. It was Logan McDonald in his first year was allergic to the razor, and it looks like Rowbottom's starting to use a bit of that mustard as well. He's got the hairy legs coming out. How do you feel about that? Do you reckon that's where the power comes from?
I think that's where he gets his hard contested running. Contest to contest. It's the effort, right. as Horse would say. And we know that there's, what was it, Goliath? No, Samson with his hair.
That's
so
right.
Who knows? Maybe it's his leg hair that's bring a bit. It's that funny joke where it's like if Rowie if he doesn't notch up double-digit tackles, did he even play? But I mean, do you want to look at him now? Oh no, we'll go on to that later. But yeah, he had a blinder, mate, and he looked clean for a wet game. He was breaking out of stoppages and that little spin move that he put a handball over to Wilbur and then over to Tom Papley for the goal that kind of I guess got us going in that second quarter bang bang bang. But yeah, he's just mate. Classy. It's just,
I mean, we might as well talk about the couple of numbers just as you said it, man. Like 32 disposals by the end of it, 20 of them contested, and at 72% efficiency.
Hot damn.
God damn, Rowie. Calm down, mate. Like, it took Errol's absolute gargantuan effort, which we'll talk about. just to pip the points off him. But Rory was a beast. And all of this, a big part of this is, of course, because Warner was being tagged. Warner has had a bit of attention to him. It seems to stick. But this week, you had Toby Bedford on him, tagging him, slowed him up a little bit, but he just went up forward and kicked himself a couple of goals to make it happen. So why not?
Yeah, why not? If you've got his, his ability, and I think it's good to see. I guess that's recognition for the what he's putting out. I think teams are aware if you don't clamp down on him, then he can really run amok. But he's able to impact in other ways, right? If they're stopping him from bursting out of the stoppage, they just roll forward and he finds a way. I mean that was my highlight of the game actually. That Goulden's kick to Chad in the corner on the boundary, and then he just slots it cool as ice from there. But I mean there were a fair few highlights, especially in that 10-goal run that we had. But
question, mate. I know you're a big fan about contracts. You know more than most. Baby Beatson, of course. What about? Do you think that the Swans have asked for a couple of tags just to kind of release some of that tension and get that contract going? Because I know Freo's going to throw a lot of money at him. Do you reckon this is one that we've initiated in order to just slow him up a bit?
We're just on the sly. We're communicating with rival clubs to put a tag on, so clubs will be like, "Oh, he's taggable. I don't want him anymore." Is that? I love this conspiracy theory.
Yeah, this is like I'm like, hey, GWS, we eased up on Himmelberg, knowing that you wanted to keep him. Yeah. As a favour, do you mind just throwing a tag towards Warner? And let Errol just get like a kilometre's worth of meters gain along the way. Like,
he literally almost kicked a kilometre, didn't he?
He did. Like his left boot must be hurt, and he must have had to replace those boots because. Oh my god! Yeah, this is my theory. I'll get the tinfoil hat going, but this is where I'm heading with it.
Look, it's
so if
possible,
they do take
mate.
him next week, that's why.
It's
sorry,
possible.
no, because we're playing Freo. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I mean, and there's certainly been a lot in the media. It was all about chasing Logan, and then Chad's gone, just exploded again this year. Not breakout, but just cemented his X factor, and so now they're gunning for him, and it's a scary thought to lose either of those players. And I know we've chatted about it in the group in our chat, which if we have to give up one, who would you give up? But I don't like thinking about that. I'd like to think we can make it work with both of them, especially because they're both so tight with Errol, and I think he's the one driving this new wave of taking unders but going for glory. I really think he's a special part of that, and those boys we know they're tight. So.
To the question you had there, and I'm not going to give an answer, I'm telling you straight up here, but the thought of which one of those gents would you like to have, so being Warner or Logan, I think the bevy was kind of split, and I don't have an answer for you right now. I'm not going to give one. But if you're out there, one of the listeners, and you feel strongly one way or another, post about it, let us know. Or if you want to tell us on the sly and the reasons for either way, let us know as well, because it's an interesting topic. So where we are. I was talking to Jules about this before a game a couple of weeks ago. She came to the footy; it was awesome, and we think that Corey Warner holds a bit of. Depending on what happens with him, we think that could be the piece that sways. And obviously he's on the fringes. I think he's just come back from injury, but it's that small forward role that is sort of there's a lot of competition for it, and obviously Caden Cleary debuted on the weekend and did pretty well. But I think we were wondering if Corey could step up into a semi-regular AFL player, and then maybe that was one of the things that could help get a 4 or 5 year contract. But anyway, we could talk about this. We could literally me, mate. I could. If you don't put a stop to me talking about contracts and lists, it blows out. Yeah,
it blows out.
Back to the game. So Caden Cleary, 1 kick, 1 goal. Why not? Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Awesome. I think he looked good. He took his chances and worked hard. You could see he did get bumped off pretty big by Paps there at one point, didn't he? But that just shows you he's hard at it and blindsided. But whatevs.
Yep.
I love
I think
it.
we're going to hear
Sydney Uni boy.
We're going to hear of him a lot, I feel, and so
Yeah.
he's got a lot of good gifts, and I know a lot of fans have been really excited about seeing him play. So, unfortunately, for Matty Roberts takes the spot of him for a little while. But although they play very different roles, so I don't feel bad about what's going on. I know Matty Roberts is going to come back strong. I'm very happy about where he's progressing. So yeah, just a week off for him, and just ease up, come back harder. No biggie.
Yeah.
Well, he's kind of like Braden Campbell is really holding up his spot. So I guess that's
Well, it's kind of, I mean, here's another one we're talking about. You know, we're hoping he can just get a string of games to get the confidence up, because you kind of feel once he gets his confidence, I mean, in theory, he's got a better kick than Goulden. I mean, that's a scary prospect, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it definitely seems to be more of a confidence player, whereas Errol's all about the process and the work rate, but BJ or Cam, what do we call him? Cannon. He's I don't know. I just think we're yet to even see what he can do, and I think a lot of it is just getting a bit of a run on. So we're hopeful. But I mean, the point is, we've got all these gun youngsters that are just hard workers. And it looks like Caden Cleary's another one. You know, we've got Matty Roberts, as you said, Caleb Mitchell, who's debuted, Gus Sheldrick, who hasn't had a clean run at it this year, Corey Warner, we've already mentioned. So, we're just, we're talking about the depth players, and we've got this like absolute Rolls Royce of a team humming at the moment. The best midfield in the comp, arguably, and role players at either end of the ground.
And the insane thing is we've still got Millsy to come back into the game.
Millsy and Parker.
Into the team, and Parker's still going to make his way back in if he can make his way back in at this point.
Yeah.
That's the scary parts, So
yeah. Let's talk about Party having kicked 9, and you had a chat to him, and that was an awesome convo. And yes, I also think that somehow that you played a part in those 9 goals the previous week.
Thank you, mate. I think so too. Yep. Thank you.
But so this week I think he kicked one behind, but I think he played his role well. Like he contested, brought it to ground. He applied some pressure. Obviously, it's hard for tools on a wet night, but I love that. I love the fact you can go from one extreme to the other, and Horse and the rest of the team has your back. Like there's no pressure. You're just playing a role, and on one night your role happens to be, 9 goals or role. I mean that's the outcome,
that's
but
just
it's the outcome of the role.
Yeah.
But then against the Giants, it's just bring it to ground. We just want to win territory and give our smalls a chance at goal, and that was nice to see. I mean, I think Doss probably had the standout game with the 3 tools this week.
Which is good because he's been a little bit quiet in some eyes. Like he always does his thing around the ground, but just in terms of focus on him and exactly him making, I think not direct impact because he makes direct impact, but more like impact that's noticeable, I guess, like more, statistical impacts. Like he's been a bit quiet in that space, but he's been really good. And two, mate, on Amadi as well, like we had 18 inside 50 tackles, which is 8 more than our average of the year, and that's something we've been actively talking about. How do we have to improve? And something we were really good at last year. Slowed up a little bit. It's probably a one kink in the arm of having these 3 tools running around, but Amadi with 4 tackles along the way to make it happen. So as you say, you're not going to be kicking 9 goals every week. No one's going to be doing that. But if you can get some tackles going, Amadi with 4, Adams with 4. McLean with 5, like that's what you want to see.
That's awesome, and so just going back to Party kicking 9 of the majority of the goals the week before and none this week, but then we go back to what we were doing, which was like 10 plus individual goal scorers. I mean, we have 11 this time, so we're back to that sort of what had been working for us, and so I don't know, it's a fantastic thing to watch and be a part of as fans, but at the other end of the ground, obviously, our tools, the back line's very settled. We don't have, we still don't have that 200 centimetre plus key defender, but we're getting it done, aren't we, with Tommy and Melican and Rampy, and obviously Blakey. I think he had a pretty good game as well. And then obviously Cunner's just locking it down, and I'll tell you who, Ollie Florent. Did you see him put some fens on? Mate,
Ollie Florent has been the most. I mean, we talk about row bottom. The media knows about row bottom. Ollie Florent is the real guy that's kind of not getting as much accolades as he deserves. He's been incredible this whole season. Last year he had a career season. This year is twice as good as it was last year. He is absolutely on fire. And I think he's kind of changed a bit. His role has changed a bit. He's less so in the wing. I know we all know what Lloyd's gone onto the wing a bit more forward. He's kicked himself a couple goals.
Beautiful goal,
one this week.
Lloydie. Oh, my God.
Best thing going around is Lloydie kicking goals. Right? You just love to see it, right? Because he's been around, been such a trooper for so long.
Yeah.
But then Errol's, of course, I'm talking about Errol. He pretty much was the ball this week. But yeah, Florent was just brilliant. And in that new role of his, he just looks smooth. He's got great coaches, but he is in himself just a little bit of a general. Always around when he needs to be there. Always available. Always getting himself more ball than you ever expect.
I just remember seeing him like push out of a couple of maybe 2 or 3 contests. I mean, not like it wasn't like, Dusty Martin, Harley Reid type of fend off, but it was sort of like a bit of a push and go, like just put the jets on and got him through. We know he can cut through lines, probably not as characteristically amazing as Lizard, but it's so awesome to have both of these guys who have different styles but are effective at changing up our approach forward. But I don't know, it was just tidy down back. I mean, obviously, they scored a couple of goals at the end to close the gap, but really it was we scored 100 points and kept the opposition to, probably could have been 65 or something. So it's right on that what we've kind of been doing. We've been scoring around 15 to 17 goals and stopping the opposition from scoring more than 12 or so typically. I mean, I think the Bombers got more than the most honest, but look, I don't know. It was if you just talk about that 10-goal burst, and should we talk about? Okay, here's a question without notice.
Please.
Are you worried at all about how we are able to just turn on the tap and blow away teams, but then, as we saw against the Giants? And I think you've already correctly said, I think the weather came into it, did play a part. But are you worried that we go too hard for like a limited amount of time, and then have the ability to let the team, the opposition team, also go on a mini run, or would you rather just see us be like competitive throughout the 4 quarters rather than just like bang 10 goals?
In this, I think if you'd asked that question of us like 15, 20 years ago, the way football was done, so contested, you would want to talk about like how your defense would kind of lock down the play. You would lock down the play to contest it in order to get it forward in your momentum. But in this day and age, especially the way we play, the guys we've mentioned already, your Blakeys, your Florence, even Lloydies, your Gouldens, these guys who just like to stream, get the ball going. It suits us to keep the momentum going for longer times of the game. So I am all about, like, if it means that we're going to keep the momentum going for big pockets of the game, in instance, yeah, sure, we're not always going to kick 60 points, like 60 goals, right? 60 points versus goals.
60
like
points,
10
yeah,
goals.
that was huge. Yeah.
10 goals in a row. That's not necessarily going to be the answer to every single game. But I would much prefer us focus on that style of play, which is just when we get the momentum, we just keep that going as long as we sustain it. And then we depend on our defense afterwards.
It's bloody nice to have that ability. Like, I don't want to, like,
No, I know what you're saying. Yeah, I get
what
you're saying. Like, would we prefer to kind of be a bit more like, not sensible, but a bit more structured in the way we play things, be able to turn the tap on and off when we need it. But
yeah,
I'm strongly of the opinion turn on the hose and let it go as long as you can for the longest period as you can. And I think our guys have the gears. We've got the fitness to carry it on a bit further than most. So use it while we have it.
Well, we smashed him in the middle again. I mean, Grundy was huge. The midfield that we're going to talk about soon, they just, I don't know. It's just, I really did. To be honest, if we go back to the beginning of this year when we're talking about like what we'd hoped to try and achieve this year, this is just beyond wildest imagination. And I know it's early, and I know we're going to talk about the run, the next 4 and the run home and all that sort of stuff. And there's plenty going on in the. Did you see that Raw article? I don't know who wrote it, but it basically was just like a negative PR campaign about how the Swans won't win the grand final. Did you see that article?
No.
I'll have to share that with you.
I would normally just turn away from those stupid things. Like even
Block
if you
out the
said
noise.
it's just like it's clickbait. Like you're the number one. It's
yeah.
clickbait.
Oh, I clicked. I clicked and I was like, you bastard. It was just like, Swans can't win. They've been in 4 grand finals, only won one. Longmire's shit. It's got no plan B. I was like, did they take all of Swans fans' worst nightmares?
Insecurities,
and just,
basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and just put it into this. It's like someone's gone to AI and just gone, keep Swans fans up at night.
Give me all of the insecurities that Swans fans have over the last 20 years and print. That's literally what happened, and I'm not surprised, and they'll do it again. So I think if you're a Swans fan, including you, Noddy, and you're out there and you're looking at these things, you're getting all livid about it. Like, literally, it does not make a difference. Don't look at it. And if you do look at it, just take it with the grain of salt it's meant to be taken with.
I actually thought it was, I thought it was kind of funny, like, because I was like, the writing level wasn't much to, like, it was pretty average. But then I was like, okay, I can acknowledge that there is some fact here, but it just felt like, I was like, it kind of felt like Eddie Maguire had gone on a bender, and someone didn't take his phone off him, and he was just like texting away, just going, Swans won't win, they suck. But
this is a very possible scenario too.
You never know with him.
He's got everyone's numbers, including everyone in media, right? So he can make and break any young journalist's career. So this is a very possible scenario. Don't worry.
Yeah, but mate, look, I don't know. I mean, yeah, look, it's an amazing win, 13-1. So I don't know. I'm stoked, over the moon. I'm kind of speechless. Like we're expecting at some point that we're gonna, fall back. I know Sam last week said that he probably wouldn't minded giving up Adelaide away because they're probably not going to factor. But I don't know. Maybe we'll just keep going. Who knows? Obviously, we need to keep working hard, and this is straight from the horse's mouth. But hey, speaking, did Rowie get cited for that tackle?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything about it, so I'm presuming no, because it really surprises me. It's the same head bouncing off the ground that Hickey copped, and I remember this a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, and Hickey ended up getting concussed from it and missing out like 2 or 3 games, and nothing was caught on because they said that his head didn't hit the ground despite the fact that he got concussion. But it was the way that his hair whipped off the ground and looked like it was, I don't know, fancy. I don't know. And this is this, and so Matt from the Bevy himself even suggested that we should have had the same defense, and maybe we did. And they saw this coming. They gave us this one in league. So we'll see. But
McMullen, he didn't go off or anything. I mean, he jumped up and played on. I mean, he elected to handball as well. So
yeah, he moved on with it. And this is what it comes down to. If the mullet is thick, then you must acquit. Like if there's too much hair there and it bounces off the ground, you can't tell if that's head. Let it go. Let it go and move on.
Madness.
Yeah.
What else are we talking about before we go on to the Bob, mate?
Well, I think we're just getting into the Bob, really.
Yeah.
Everyone, we haven't spoken about the main man ever.
Yeah.
31 disposals.
41.
41 disposals,
Yeah.
31 of them kicks.
Oh.
Close to 1,000 meters gained, with the next closest like 300 behind him.
I'd be
21.
lucky to walk 1,000 meters. And he's kicking a ball. He's kicking a footy.
That's a pub crawl. That is. And this guy's just doing it doing a football field. 21 pressure acts, which is insane. So just him doing everything. 8 inside 50s and 10 intercept possessions. The man did everything. And it was Rowie's Brett Kirk medal to win at halftime. And Errol's gone, I don't bloody well think so, mate. I'm from Sydney. I'm going to take this one to the bank. And he just turned it on and refused to give it out. So it may never go to anyone ever again at this rate.
Especially if Parker doesn't come back this year. But so that's his 3rd in a row, is that right?
3 in a row, that's right. The first 2, we will say that he pipped Warner, and the Bevy have argued that I think Warner may have deserve the last couple, perhaps, maybe. Flip a coin, help yourselves. There's no question about this time. No question about it. Errol is everything. Are we...
So
we're
giving him 3, yeah, for the Bob.
Oh, 3.
Yeah.
Do you have an argument not to?
It's more like 30. Give him 30.
Well, we did talk about the methods in the way we give Bob medal. We can talk about it in a second. But so 3 points to Errol. Mate, I'll let you take it away with number 2. We've spoken about him a fair bit already.
Yeah, a lot of love for Rowie in this game and just in general. What is it? I mean, you already touched on some of his 32 disposals, 20 contested at 72% effective. What do you got? 10 score involvements, 6 tackles. Mortal. Yeah, what do we got here? Player rating 28. Next closest is 22. 6. What player rating is that? Is that the AFL player rating?
Oh, God, I don't even know what
Is that, yeah, so that's the champion data-driven one. Yeah, look, I mean, that shows you, it shows you that he had a blinder. Like, he was just impactful all across the ground for his position. And as you said, he stepped out at one point and basically tagged Tom Green. So Rowie was excellent. He looked clean, he looked sharp. I just think it's the kind of game that reminds everyone that we've got this, now 100-plus game player who sort of earned his spot through a hard fought role, but he's actually quite classy, and some of the things he was doing, just I think reminded people that. But Rowie, that was awesome.
Unbelievable by Rowie. As you said, just over 100 career games, man, and he is veteran style stuff going on.
Captain material, him and Errol.
That's right, him and Errol.
Yeah.
Heaney gets the 1 point for us, I think.
Yep.
Would be my go. 23 disposals, 70% efficiency, incredible. 10 clearances. He was in at 93% centre bounce attendance. He was the guy. They tasked him with the task of go in there, go get that ball, get a clearance, God damn it. And Heaney went, yeah, sure, whatever. Did exactly that and plus some. And he's just watching this guy is watching his teammates steal Brownlow points from him, and I don't think anyone's happier for it. I really think he loves what's going on right now. So Heaney's still up there with the Brownlow votes, but when these other boys like Errol and Rowie are turning on these immortal games, what are you going to do about it?
I think the talk now is these three, obviously Heaney, Heat, Errol and Chad are shaping for a top 10 finish in the Brownlow, but which is just crazy. And then obviously Grundy's being spoken of as AA
Australian
again.
rock.
Yeah.
100%.
So yeah, I don't know. It's and then you got Juzzy, you got JJ, you got Adams, who was great. Adams was bloody good again. He's if he keeps playing the way he does, then I don't know. Lukey Parker.
I think Lukey Parker, he was obviously we always intended that those two would kind of share a role, right? And now with Adams really coming into his own, his body's looking good. He's doing great things off the ball. Little 1%ers, you know what I mean? Like these little things. He's just putting the right amount of pressure on. He's just tapping the ball, like getting the ball to ground, just doing good things. The guy is a brilliant footballer. We're super lucky. Blakey's the other one, mate. Blakey's one that deserves a lot of love. And I think Sammy had him for his 1-pointer. So we have to give a good shout out for him. He was very, very good.
Yeah, Liz was good. He was intercepting and running and doing his things. And yeah, I guess, but he's surrounded by those role players that we spoke about earlier. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. It's tricky to only choose 3 when the whole team is humming, right? So is this what we're talking about now?
All right. So yeah, we can do. So the one thing that Sammy brought up, I think it was last week, where we were having trouble when the team is this good. You have trouble picking just 3 players to give points out to, right? So the what we do is we give 3 points and 2 points and 1 point out. We discuss it as the bevy, a collective of us. We come together, and we make it up. And then sometimes, if you heard on the potty, we'd have to battle out for a couple of positions, and that's fine. That's what it's all about. But lately, it's been harder and harder. Well, as a team is going really, really well. So, mate, I know the original idea that you had was to have 5 points out there. Is that right? So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is that the way you wanted to?
Yeah,
run
I
it
think
before?
early on, Steve and I, we started with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it was like, I think there probably weren't as many standout games, and so some weeks you're kind of going, all right, we'll give 1.2, but I mean, other than the admin, it was just I think it's a style choice. 3, 2, 1's a bit easier, bit less work, but when you got a team like this, and everyone's like, oh, this person deserves a point, this person deserves half a point, all that sort of stuff. But
it gets trickier.
Right, so what are we looking at options wise?
So we had a couple of listeners come through, so thank you. We had Moy came through and suggested a 3-2-1. We keep the 3-2-1 that we are now, but then we have as many honourable mentions as we want, and they're all worth 0.5 of a point. And I would presume, and Moy, message me if I'm wrong, but I presume what he means by that is if you get half a point in a week, only half a point, that doesn't necessarily go to a tally. But if two players get half a point, the same player get half a point by any one of us, then they get an extra point going. Now, the problem I see as I'm saying this is, if you get, so let's say Heaney here gets 1 point. But if two other people in the bevy all give out 1, 2, 3 half pointers, they end up with 1.5 points for a player that arguably is an honourable mention and not part of the 3-2-1 high scoring Bob medals. So that was one idea. So Noddy, any initial feelings, opinions of that one?
It's quite late on a Tuesday night, and it's sounding like a maths lesson.
Okay, well, this next one, good luck, because this next one is from Robert. So Rob, thanks for messaging in. He likes the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but he wants us to have a special mentions category. So when you could include like 1 forward or 1 defender as part of the count. So if you see someone like playing a really good defensive role like Cunningham that deserves a bit of love, we can give him like a point for his effort at that side. And, or Logan McDonald just because of the amount of work that he was putting in. Although he wasn't getting the goals and necessarily not going to get a 3-2-1 pointer, he gets himself a point for just the extras. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 plus the 1 extras. Now, the only thing that I would push back on that one is that, as you said there, Noddy, some weeks it does get hard. Some weeks 3-2-1 is easy, and this is not necessarily wins or losses, but even with the wins, like 3-2-1 sometimes straightforward. Sometimes you want to give multiple ones out. Sometimes you want to give multiple threes out. But giving out 7 points out every week is a bit tough sometimes. I don't know. What do you think?
Look, I sort of go back to the thing where this is just it's not like horses waiting for our. Oi, Noddy, Chris, who's won? Give us your points, mate. We're waiting here to
Bloody well should
on speed dial, mate. But look. I think this obviously what it shows is we can keep the dialogue going, and let's keep talking about it. But I think I don't know. I don't want to be like the AFL and change rules on the fly, mate.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, mate. That's nothing. They've never done that ever, except for like 2 weeks ago.
They've never done that in the past week.
Yeah.
Or wait, hang on. Or have they done it this past week? I think it's award-free kicks for tripping umpires, but then 48 hours later say, sorry, just kidding, we're not going to do that anymore.
Sorry, we adjudicated them right at the time, but now we're adjudicating them differently, but we're also correct anyways.
Oh,
okay,
my God.
cool.
And while we're at it, we're just going to change the definition of holding the ball.
Holding the ball.
So,
no one's going to understand what it's talking about.
The most confusing rule in footy, which shouldn't be, traditionally it wasn't, and we're just going to change it up again mid-season. Fun time. So look, let's keep talking about it. We'll figure it out. Keep giving us some ideas. We're happy to make some adjustments along the way. As long as it doesn't get too confusing, mate. I think.
What one idea I have? What do you think about this, mate? Is we build out a collection of fans, regular listeners, and we give them some kind of method to all put in their point system,
like a poll.
Like a poll website, everyone can just go in there, put in your votes. Everyone gets like 3 votes each or something, and you can tack them up the way you want it. I don't know. Is that logistically it's possible, but
it sounds like your department in terms of technology, But yeah, I don't hate the sound of that. I think we actually spoke about that before we kicked off the season this year. We had a lot of grand plans, and then the season started, so we're just straight into it. But yeah, mate, let's as I said, we can figure it out. I'm happy to keep getting these good ideas and working through them.
It takes a lot of admin, the podcast. And if someone out there, I guess maybe this is a call out as well. If you're out there and you think you know how this could logistically work, giving it back to the fans somehow, then yeah, please let us know, because I'd be all ears. Because I would imagine that most of the time the 3-2-1 ends up at roughly the same place as us fans do, and there's about 7 of us in the bevy. So we just basically extend it, make it the extended bevy, make it as big as we want to make it. So we can do that. I'm sure we can do that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Mate, okay, so 3-2-1 done. Any other not honourable mentions, mate, before we start moving on to the rest of the season?
I think Wixie is holding down his forward, his pressure forward role quite well. We weren't sure whether or not Caden would start. We were hoping that BJ would get some more game time, so we weren't sure maybe if Caden was going to take that starting pressure forward role, but I think Wixie is playing a role, and I think he looks good. I think he looks way meaner with a short haircut too.
Yeah, I like it. That's a really good shout, man. I think he has been superb.
Yeah,
and you're not hearing anyone complaining about him. So
that's right. Yeah.
He is the whipping boy. That position generally is the whipping boy, and he's looked fantastic.
Definitely.
All right, mate. All right, post game. We are post all the buys. The season is back to its regular counting numbers of season. It does my head in when we have to go through this stuff. We, at this point, get a really decent look of how we stand in things. 13-1, first place by 3 wins. We've spoken about it already. This is well beyond our expectations. With us as one-eyed, red as all hell people, even this is beyond our expectations. 9 games to go, still with a percentage over 150. What do we need to see out of the rest of the year? What do you want to see out of the rest of the year?
Well, I guess just, yeah, look, I don't know. I mean, obviously, it'd be great to keep winning games, but you just sort of want to keep I think you just want to keep the game style and the effort rolling, I think. I'm trying not to answer this too seriously, but it's hard to take it lightly, because it's a weird thing, right? Like, we are so far ahead, it seems like the media have nothing to say about us, right? Whereas, let's face it, if it were a Vic team, they'd be frothing over how amazing that team would be doing, right?
They are about Carlton anyway, so yeah.
Well, that's right. They're only 12 points behind, but let's talk about them. Yeah, look, I don't know, mate. So you've got the next 4 listed up there, but I'm just going to bring up the text message I sent to the group, because that's actually my position. I thought about this during the week, and I was
losing
like,
sleep at the time. Was this like a 2 a.m.?
Look, I probably was, mate. I was probably in between. I don't know what I was doing, mate, to be honest. The days are all rolling into one. Run home. I can't find it. Anyway, you talk and I'll try and find this thing.
Yeah, okay. Look, we got the Dockers at home, the SCG, our absolute fortress. Saints away for Pride game. North at home, which is not as a joke of a game as they were at the beginning of the season. And we can't obviously depend on an administrative error this time either. And the Lions at Brisbane at the Gabba, and we know that they've been really good at home. They typically are, and they are on a push for finals now. So Dockers, Saints, North and Lions, 2 of those teams you'd have to say are genuinely pushing for top 8s and pushing in hard, and any one given day can destroy most teams. And 2 of those teams you put an absolute question mark in the Saints and North about how are they going to play that week. So you'd imagine 2 of the 4 of those are ones we really want to focus on. They show a good part of where we are. But at the same time, with this many games ahead of us, do we play with the setup? Do we consider resting guys like Rampy or whatnot? Like, what do we think we're going to do?
No, I think we keep rolling with the fittest and best team. Although, look, I don't know, maybe Rampy does get a week against it, but I don't know. I just feel like we're not in that mentality. I mean, a good example is Party being rested twice in the fourth quarter against the Crows, right? It's all about the process. It's all about staying humble. So, look, I don't know, mate. That's the next 4. So I've jumped ahead, right? So I've looked at the remaining games, but broken them up into 3 categories. So games I think we could win, but obviously nothing's guaranteed in AFL footy. Games I think we might lose, but again, nothing guaranteed. And games that I think are genuinely 50-50 in my brain. And so the 4 games I think we could win are Freo at home, Saints away, North at home, Adelaide at home. But again, who knows, as you've already said. Games I think we might lose is Brisbane away and maybe the Bulldogs home if they get some of those players back. I mean, they very nearly beat us. That was our closest win margin. We only won by 14 against them, and they lost Norton and Richards that game, who were looking good. And then games that are 50-50 in my mind are Port away, Collingwood at home, and Essendon away.
Yeah.
So again, they're not in order. I've just broken the remaining games down into those 3 categories. And so if we have to lose a game, if we have to lose a couple of games, again, so if you go back to the Magpies last year, they won 18 games to shore up first. And then teams in second, third and fourth, I think, won 17. So we're 5 games away from probably locking up, at least first or second.
And you want those top 2, we know that much, yep. That home final double chance, yeah.
So we've got 9 games remaining, and we've got to win 5 to lock it up. So anyway, yeah, obviously we don't want to get ahead of ourselves because there's you just got to keep playing well. I think that's the key. But the thing is, if we, I don't know, mate. What do you think? I'm actually quite nervous in this conversation.
I know I'm.
You don't want to put the moz on, right?
I feel you're ballsy enough, even going as far as you have so far, even saying what you said.
Yeah,
so I'm giving you nothing.
Fair
I'm
play.
not going to help you at all.
Fair play. You're leaving me out there on the plank.
You are on your own, mate. I've locked the door behind you, closed it. I've shut the shutters off, turned the lights off, mate. You are out there in the rain.
Freo's going to be hard though. Freo's going to be hard. They've got an
100%.
amazing midfield. I think Pearce has broken his arm or something, but
yeah, Pearce out, big out for them. They've made just called defender, captain, everything in between. So
yeah,
that is huge for him.
And then of course there's that other factor that we spoke about earlier on, like the Chad and the Logan talks, and I don't know, mate. It's going to be a tough one. And Saints.
So to my theory of the Swans wanted to be eased up a bit so we don't have to pay as much when Freo eventually come around and start throwing cash at him and Logan. Is it preferable to us that they don't play as well this week?
No, it's just stupid. Like, we just want them to. Well, we want Logan to kick a bag and Chad to just dominate.
Yeah.
Like, I'm quite confident that we'll sort it out through, savvy contracting and also this tight unit. Like, you can't make someone stay who wants to go home. And if you and I, we've spoken to Chad in person and at the grounds and pre-season. I've had fewer interactions with Logan. Logan seems to be maybe a bit more nervous or shy by nature type character, but maybe not when you get to know him. And so because of that, your brain sort of goes, oh, maybe he would rather be back home. But I mean, look, if they're as tight with Errol and the rest of this developing crew as we are told, then it's just a matter of getting it done. And I know that Sam and a few others have said, look, do it in, I think Logan in a 2-year contract, and then maybe Chad the same length as what everyone else has done, basically, right? 4 or 5 years, and then that takes them through to the next big contract. So. I'm confident to get it done. The point, I want them to play their best though. I don't want them to take their foot off the pedal to, get free off.
To satisfy free.
To get free off the scent or something.
That's right. I mean, Warner is the eldest of 4 boys, and 3 of them reportedly easily going to play AFL, including Corey's brother. So there's a whole situation going on. We need Kofa back, I think, is the core of this. So it's a thing.
What's Kofa?
Cost of living. Kofa.
Cost of financing.
Cola.
Cola.
What is COFA? Why did that come to my head?
It sounds like it's a school of fine arts. That's something else.
It is.
College of Fine Arts.
College of Fine Arts.
College of Fine Arts over
my high school sweetheart. Yeah, my high school sweetheart went to COFA, so that's maybe where it comes from. But cola is what we need. That's what we're asking for. So Eddie, shut the hell up. Stop texting your mates, and if you do, text him about something that's useful for us, which he won't do because he doesn't like us. Anyway, mate, I think that wraps us up for the game. So. Big one, we've got Freo at home, of course. That brings us to the end of this episode. Sorry, mate.
I was just going to say, any injury concerns? Or because like Warner had that stinger, Heaney was looking a bit ginger. At one point. Melly went off. Melly got subbed. That was just tactical, right?
I think it was Doss that came off.
I think Melly.
So yeah. I think, and definitely Heaney's the one to concern because he looked a bit rough at some points and he was holding onto his arm, so his shoulder. So there's something. His success has also been the fact that he looks super free and relaxed, like a butterfly. So we need to see what's going to happen to him. So yeah, maybe ease him up. Do they get a rest? I don't. Even a Brownlow year, I don't think you're allowed to, right? So I think that's against the law. So yeah.
There's talk of Mills not being far away as well.
Yep, a couple weeks away apparently.
Where does Mills play? Just a question without notice before we wrap up. Does he go in the midfield, or do we just get him? Do we just play him everywhere? Like because he can do a bit of that.
He takes Cannon's spot probably.
Yeah,
he probably takes Cannon's spot. I think he walks in. He probably gives some guys a rest as well. Comes in there, comes in full fit and happy and running and. Give some of the guys in the mids a rest, some of the guys in the backs a rest, and then probably takes his full-time role where Cannon is, to be honest with you. That's my prediction. Let's find out.
Times. It's an incredible time to be a Swans fan. That's I can say that with 100% confidence.
It's incredible. It's a very exciting bloody well time, isn't it? Like, yeah, well beyond what we expected. So. Yeah, so let's look. If you are going to the game, make sure to see us all out at O'Reilly 3. If you do see us there, make sure you give us a wave and tell us to turn down or pump it up as you expect. Most times it's turning up, but it is the occasion where we need to calm down. But it's going to be a cracker. It's going to be just incredible couple of games ahead of us. So it does bring us to the end of the episode. If you're listening in to the end, we thank you. As always, what we always say, if you do like it, give us a like, give us a follow, jump into any social media, say hello. It's all good. And we'll touch base then.
Otherwise, keep an eye out for more posts and content during the week. And videos leading up to game day, including game day itself.
Until then, we look forward to joining you at the SCG this weekend in O'Reilly 3. Until then, up the Bloods and can you Swannies?
Come on, boys, keep going.